Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Bryan with another knife review for you. Today we have the Benchmade Proper. This is Benchmade's first slip joint. Some would call it a traditional. Some more traditionalists would get very angry at you calling it a traditional. I'm going to call it a modern traditional, I guess is what I would call it. The ways that it differs from your classic old school traditionals like your, cases and some of the buck slip joints and things like that is it has a more modern steel. Most traditionals have some kind of high carbon steel. This has S30V, which is a great steel. It was considered a super steel just like 2 years ago. It also has Torx screws. You can take it apart. Most traditionals are pinned together. I think both of those are very good things. And me not being a hardcore traditional knife guy, I don't mind it a bit. I think it's great. A couple people seem to think it's an affront to the world. But overall, 80% of people love this thing. 20% of the people don't get it or are upset about it. We'll get more in the conclusion at the end of why I totally get it. First of all, let's talk about the aesthetics. Well, first of all, let's talk about the versions it comes in, because this is a newer version. This is the clip point version. The first ones that came out were a sheep's foot blade. You can still get those. You can get them in the micarta handles. On the clip point, it's this brown color. On the sheep's foot, the micarta is a bit more greenish in my experience than the brown is on the clip point. And you can also get either version with red G10 if you want something even more modern in your traditionalism. But man, when I took this out of the box, I just have to say, this made one of the best first impressions I've ever seen. It comes in the nice, cool Benchmade box. It comes in a little bag and stuff. It's a little, cleaning cloth bag. It's fantastic. When I pulled it out, I just was like, wow. I was expecting it to look good. I didn't expect it to look this good. I am a sucker for micarta. I will admit that. I mean, I always carry this. Oh, knock something over. I always carry this. This is a Boker 50 cal bolt action pen with the micarta handles. I love micarta. I love that it's all unique. I love that it changes over time. This has absolutely gotten a couple shades darker and a bit shinier in places since I've been using it, and I like that. This is going to be the same way. I've only had it for a couple days, so it has not changed at all yet. But I know it's going to change over time, and I like that. And I just love the way it looks. The fit and finish is outstanding. It's very good. There are absolutely no sharp spots. Everything is nice and smooth and chamfered where it should be. And it should be good quality, because this is not a cheap knife, especially when you're looking at slip joints. This is $115, which is not uncommon in really nice traditional knives. I mean, Case and Boker and GEC, bunch of companies make a lot of knives in this same price range also, but they also, a lot of people just buy the $30-$40 ones, so that may be more what you're expecting in a high quality slip joint. This is a very high quality slip joint, and it's very expensive. You want to buy a custom traditional, you can spend thousands. So I don't think the price is that bad. I think the quality is worth it, but we'll get to that again more in the conclusions. But this is a pretty pricey knife, and it feels like a very pricey knife, and it looks like a very pricey knife. It looks awesome. I just love the looks of it. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let's get into the specs before we get too much farther. We will say that the blade length, line this up here properly so we're more towards the center of the screen. You have blade length of just under 3 inches, 2.8 inches. You have an overall length of 6.6 inches. And you have a handle length of 3.85. The handle thickness, very thin, 0.4 inches. And your blade thickness, also very thin at 0.09 inches. So pretty thin little blade, as you'd expect on a more traditional style knife. Let's do some size comparisons here. Oh, and the weight. Almost skipped the weight. That's one of the most important things about this. This weight is, I'm going to do it in front of you because it is very light. We have, come on now. I warmed this up and then it went to sleep on me again. 2.13 ounces. So very, very light in the pocket, which is exactly what you want with this style of knife. Because again, there's no clip point. This just kind of sits in the, clip point. There's no clip on it, so it just kind of sits in the bottom of your pocket. But now let's do some size comparisons. We will start off with some more old school knives. We have your Opinel number 6. You know, most knife reviewers have a number 8. I prefer the number 6, so that's what we have. And a very old and beat up, almost as old as I am, Victorinox Waiter. I prefer to call this model the Victorinox Alcoholic because it's got a corkscrew and a bottle opener on it. And now some more modern kind of slip joint knives. We have the Spyderco Roadie, a lot bigger than a Roadie, obviously, and SOG's version of the modern slip joint, the SOG Terminus. So, two different approaches to kind of the same sort of ideals. I sense a comparison coming on. All right, now let's talk about this blade. That's one of my favorite things about this. Like I said, a lot of traditionals are made of high carbon steel, which is fine. It does not hold an edge terribly well, but it's super easy to sharpen. And it will patina over time. This will not. The S30V is very corrosion resistant. Still easy to sharpen. Going to hold an edge a lot longer. And that's the thing I like the most about this knife, I think, is that it has an S30V blade. And I can carry it and use it and not have to worry about tuning it up all the time. And it's also a pretty good shape. I like the clip point, very good for piercing. Like I said, they do make a sheep's foot. I much prefer the clip point because in my kind of EDC task, which is what this knife is meant for, you do wind up piercing a few things, and sheep's foot blades are not outstanding at that. The one on the Proper, from what I've seen, is not horrible at it, but this is going to be a lot better. And really, with the grind, you're not losing much with the sheep's foot. So the overall shape is actually pretty similar except for the tip. And it's also got pretty high flat grind, very good edge out of the box. It's a very good slicer. Well, it's a good slicer. It's not a very good slicer. It's nothing compared to, like a PM2 or something like that, or a Mannix, or, my American Lawman or anything. But it will slice plenty well enough for anything you want to do with a non-locking knife. Because again, this is a slip joint. It's non-locking. That you're going to want, it's going to be able to do everything you want to do with a non-locking knife. It's fine. And that's good to go with me. Ergonomically, also, I think this is pretty good. I know a couple people said it was too small in the hand, but I think they were comparing it more to other knives. I think, when you compare it to, a PM2 or even a Para 3 that's kind of the same sort of blade length, yes, it does feel smaller in the hands. But when you compare it to other traditionals, it's freaking outstanding. It fills my hand plenty enough, again, for the kind of things I'm going to use a non-locking knife for. And it's very smooth and comfortable. And I still can get again, I have large size gloves, but small fingers. And I can still get all my fingers on there. It's perfectly fine. It has some nice jimping to move your thumb forward on. So yeah, I think it's completely fine. I like the ergonomics just absolutely fine for what it is. Now for the deployment and action, obviously this is a slip joint, so it's not, you can't one-hand open it. You're not supposed to be able to. That's part of the reason for it, because a knife like this is legal everywhere, in a lot of places, most everywhere. I think the blade length might be too long for the UK. People down in the comments correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say they have a 2.5 inch limit, and this is over that. But anyway, it's two-hand opening. It's very smooth. Very smooth. I've done nothing to this. It does have a secondary stop, which is really nice when you're closing it. It makes it much less likely that you're going to bite yourself. So, even though I just almost did there because I was holding up too high. But yeah, no, it's very smooth action, very good, very strong, which I like that in a slip joint. I don't like the weaker ones. I found some of the cases to feel a bit weak to me, but that might just be me. Sometimes I blow right past that secondary stop. Where this, no danger of that happening. You're going to hit that secondary and it's not going to hit your hands. So I like that very, very much. Not a fan of nail necks. Don't understand why they only have one side. This is a very deep nail neck. It's very easy to use. It's a great nail neck, but I'd almost rather it was a more shallow nail neck and was on both sides, because then this would be a truly ambidextrous knife. It still kind of is. I'm sure lefties could handle it, but it would be nice if it was on both sides somehow. All right, let's get into the carry on this. There is no pocket clip. It comes with the little usual Benchmade bag. If you want to protect it, you could use that. I have ordered a leather slip case for this, and I will talk about that more in another review when I get it. But you don't really need to. Micarta is gonna change over time. It's not something that super needs to be protected, I don't think. I felt fine just throwing it in my pocket. I don't throw my keys in there with it or anything, but it's very comfortable. It's very thin. It's very light. It just kind of settles down the bottom of your pocket there, and you hardly even know it's there. So, kind of like the roadie, which I have a roadie in my pocket. This is smaller, but same kind of idea. I have a roadie in my pocket almost all the time because they just carry so light and so small. So, my conclusion on this, like I said, most people love it, and rightly so. I love it. Some people get angry that it's referred to as a traditional, whatever. That's just a word. It doesn't matter. What I like about this is it's a slip joint, traditional style knife that ticks all the boxes to appeal to knife nerds like me, and probably like you if you're watching this video. It's got modern, cool steel. You can take it apart. It's got micarta handles. It's a knife that is in the shape and spirit of a traditional, but it gives us all the cool things that we have in our other knives. You know, and that's a really good thing. It's really great. And for a guy like me that travels a lot to places where I can't have a locking knife, like I spent a lot of time in Europe, I'm going back to Germany in April, it's coming with me because it's a cool knife that is legal everywhere, and it still makes me feel like a knife guy because it's got S30V and it's got micarta handles, and I can tear it apart and maintain it in my hotel room if I want to. I probably won't, but you know, I could, and it's nice to know. I really do like it. And again, $115. A lot of people say it's overpriced, and I think a lot of Benchmade things are overpriced. I don't think this is. I mean, I'm not a traditional expert, but I did a lot of research on comparable traditionals. I looked at a whole bunch of websites, and you know, Case, Boker, GEC, they make a lot of knives in this 80 to 120 price range. I was looking at blade lengths about this length with single blades. They make a few in that price range, and they have inferior steel. You can't take them apart. And a lot of them don't have as nice of handle material as this cool looking micarta. So, or if you don't like the micarta, as nice as the cool G10, the red G10 on the other version. So yeah, I think it's overpriced when you're comparing it to, when you're thinking of in your mind of a traditional or a slip joint as a $30 or $40 knife. But if you're thinking of the higher end ones, I think this fits in just fine with that. I don't have a problem with the price. I really, especially after I got out of the box. When I ordered it, I saw it was $115. I was like, oh, that's kind of iffy. But then once I opened it and saw the quality and stuff and just how good it feels, yeah, no, I don't. I have no problem with the price. So I think this is an unqualified success. I would highly recommend this if you're looking for a really nice slip joint folder. Yep, it might not be completely traditional, but I don't care. I think it works great for what I'm going to use it for. I've only had it for a couple days, but I've carried it as my only knife for the last couple days, and it worked fine. It worked great. I didn't feel upset that I had a slip joint in my pocket at any point, where sometimes I did with other slip joints. So in the past, and that's why I don't own many of them. So what you saw in slip joints is all of them that I have. So yep, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I really hope that you take a look at the Proper. Very, very good knife. And you get awesome, too, forgot to mention, always to mention on every Benchmade video, you get Benchmade's amazing freaking warranty. So they're always, no questions asked, fix everything. They are outstanding. So I don't worry at all about damaging this or anything like that. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Take a look at the Proper. It is a properly good knife. I'm sure I'm the only one that's made that pun so far. Have a good one, everybody.